Greetings adventurers and welcome back to RPG Day 2021. Apologies for the delay in vids over the last few days, just work's been a bit of a nightmare. So I'm catching up, you're getting 3 vids today. I hope you enjoy. So this particular one is day 18 and the prompt for today is write, W-R-I-T-E. And I'm going to talk about writing your own material, scenarios mainly. Most of my role-playing career as a GM has involved writing scenarios, designing dungeons. I've done it all by hand. Beginning of, I would say, 3.5 edition D&D, I started designing about 3 campaigns for the Dragonlance setting. And the idea would be that one would flow into the next and into the next. Different characters, a couple of years apart in game time. But the events of one would affect the next, and I was planning all this out. And I would use some published modules here. In fact, the very first campaign was based on the original like blue cover thin adventure modules that Wizards put out. Sunken City, is it Sunken City? Sunken Citadel, all the way through to whatever the big one was with the dragon at the end. Well of Souls, something like, anyway. And I would intermix published material with my own homebrew stuff. When the Shackled City Adventure Path was released by Paizo, I bought that. Absolutely loved it. I pretty much love all of their campaigns, their adventure paths. And from that point on, it pretty much became I ran published campaigns, mainly because Paizo put so many of them out. Several years ago, I wanted to go back to writing my own, and during the job I had at the time, I worked in a warehouse for 6 months, pushing trolleys around and loading people's orders. And in those 8 hours a day of pushing this stuff about, I started formulating a campaign in my head. I came up with scenario titles, which were very classic-y sort of D&D-ish sort of things. I had the idea of things like Sky Pirates of Pellucidon and something of Skull Island, or those sort of names that sort of have that classic D&D flow to them. And eventually the whole thing came together. Names changed, scenario ideas changed, and it became a campaign that I wrote called the Hexam Legacy. And it's probably about 4 years ago now I ran that. And it was all homebrew stuff. And my word, it was really difficult to do after spending 10 plus years of running scenarios and campaigns that other people had written. It was really difficult to do. And towards the end, I kind of had to go, well, I need to know what the players are going to do in this situation before I can finish it. And so for the last probably 3 or 4 chapters, I would see where they got up to, and I would write the next bit based on what they had done and so on, until we got to the big climax and it was cool. I am now in a position where I want to start, pardon me, writing another campaign. Because now we've come back from COVID, we can meet up again. And it's going to be awesome. And once again, I'm finding that from running published things, mainly Pathfinder Society over the last few years, it's quite hard to do. And I'm having to sort of like relearn again from the bottom up and try not to focus so much. When I write stuff, I tend to really put in far more background detail than I will ever need, because I kind of feel that everything relevant to it needs to be put to paper, and it doesn't need to work that way. But there is such a big enjoyment for me in writing my own scenarios. and campaigns. Campaigns I find a bit more difficult, because you've kind of got to plan so far ahead so that you know that when the players start to adjust and go their own way and do things their own way, you can adapt, which is always the slight flaw in a published campaign. And as I say, I'm coming back to this, and I'm really enjoying. I'm still putting pen to paper, and I've also decided I'm not going to use the computer. Normally I type stuff up, and that's when I start writing reams and reams and reams of background fluff that isn't needed. And I'm going to do this very, very simple. I'm going to use my Dungeon Maker book. If you saw one of my I think it was video 2 of this session of this year's RPG Day, I talk about map, and I spoke about the Central Casting Dungeons book to randomly generate dungeons. That's going to be sort of like the staple. I'm going to the dungeons in this game are going to be nicely randomized and a bit of fun. I'm going to just write basic room descriptions, what's in there, treasure, notes, and anything else we're going to wing it. I haven't properly sort of sat there and winged a game as much for a long time. As I say, I like to have everything in notes. I'm just going to do the basics, and I'm really looking forward to this. A year and a half or so of no real role playing. I'm going to write this campaign. We start, I think, beginning of September, so I've got to really put some pen to paper. Only a couple of weeks to go, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I think there is something to be said for writing your own material, writing your own scenarios. Published stuff is great, you know, because the work's done for you and you can tweak it as you need to. But sometimes writing and running your own creation and seeing like the enjoyment and the fun and everything else that comes from the players really makes it worthwhile. I'm sure you all write your own stuff anyway, you know, that's cool. But I thought for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to say how much I am enjoying and how much my hobby is getting back into pluses by sitting down and writing what I want to do instead of doing what other people have done. Anyway, I'm waffling now, so thank you for watching, guys. Take care, good gaming. Give us a thumbs up if you like the vid, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you shortly for the next video in line. Until then, take care, good gaming.